can you explain a little bit about the origins of Stormwolf Studios and Battle for Enkeon? Essentially, our origins were created by two people who were playing a game. The one being Martin, who sat next to me, and myself, because we both kind of had pieces to the puzzle, different pieces, but together with all the pieces we could develop a game. And Battle for Enkeon itself was originated by playing various different other games and sat there thinking, wouldn't it actually be cool if this game would have this mechanic in? Or, for example, while I was playing Warframe and was playing XCOM 2 at the time, wouldn't it be cool if we could develop our base similar to how Warframe done it instead of how XCOM 2 had done it? And through passing ideas back and forth, we actually realised that we could just go ahead and do it ourselves. So essentially, that's how Stormwolf Studios was essentially formed. A couple of friends who was bouncing ideas back and forth, and decided that, well, actually we can put some mechanics from different genres into one entire game, which allows for all the mechanics that we thought would be extremely fun to play and good in the same game.
Question 2, what is your main role in creating Battle for Enkeon, and what are some of the challenges you face in this role? So, who wants to go first?
My main role in Battle for Enkeon is to deal with all the performance side of the game, the testing side of the game, the level design, the programming itself. More specifically, the programming. Most of the testing and things comes part and parcel with programming. But that's my main biggest focus, is doing the script and the code at a good performance standard to run on as many devices as possible, while also getting the good quality lighting and stuff with throughout our levels and portraying our image in the levels, essentially. A lot of challenges come up in that role.
I've seen a lot of these challenges.
Shout out to all the programmers that will know exactly what I'm talking about. One theory and one logic process works brilliantly in your head. You put it into actual script and just does not work. It's one of the main challenges we have. So you're always adapting the code and changing the code when after testing and things like that to basically fix the logic that should have worked in the first place. But obviously with object-oriented programming can be a bit frustrating.
Like I said, that's got to be a big challenge on your part, is we can come up with these ideas of, wouldn't it be great if you could do this in the game, and wouldn't it be great if you could do this and this feature was added, but he's the one that's actually got to add it. Like, so he's the one that's got to figure out, okay, that's a great idea on paper, but how does the coding relate to that? How do we get that in the actual game?
To work without sacrificing other features. You could have 100 billion ones, but
I'm sure there's been many times where we're like, yeah, let's do it this way, like this is a great idea, and then when he goes to coding it, he's like, now we see why everyone else does it this way. So then you have to kind of code around things and figure out different ways to make your way work.
Definitely problem solving.
It's definitely problem solving.
It's one of the strongest things I would say you need as a programmer.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Martin, your role and
my role,
challenges.
I make all the models. I even wrap them, texture them, rig them, skin them, and animate them. It's pretty much a lot of what you see is, and all the stuff that gets rendered is pretty much a lot of what I've done. Some of those challenges can be very frustrating when you make something, you wrap it, get it all done, you get all texture and stuff, and then a small little issue happens where you didn't dedicate quite enough UV space on something. So it's like a little bit distorted when you're trying to keep the performance good. Because there's one sacrifice you got to make is obviously keeping low maps. You can't have everything running in 4K. It's kind of pointless. Having a cup. Look, it's an amazing cup, it's in 4K. Pointless.
Yeah, no one can play the game when you actually play it out.
Because everyone's trying to render this cup. So it's trying to keep it all good, dedicating as much UV space you possibly can and playing Tetris essentially. One square and putting it all in.
Sure.
One main issue really is the amount of time it takes to go into it.
Yeah.
Essentially. Just because it takes so much time.
I can definitely relate to that. Some of my role, I'm kind of almost like, don't Don't know
Jack of
that.
all trades.
Yeah, I guess. I kind of flip between departments as I need it. So Martin was teaching me animating and modelling and things like this so that I can aid in those departments. And I'm responsible for writing the story, the script, doing the dialogue, things like this. So I guess one of my main challenges is simply being in the business, not having trained in this before. I mean, I grew up with Martin, so we both played games heavily, but being able to create a game is a whole different thing to playing one. You know, I'm so new to this whole side of it that it's a sharp learning curve for me. I'd say that's my biggest challenge in my role.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next question was some of the best things you enjoy about your role.
For me, it's just the end product.
Okay.
When you have like an idea, like for example, the ambush mechanisms within Battle for Enkeon, and you have that idea, and you sit there and going from pen and paper to whiteboard
Yeah.
to then going into Unreal and doing it all and then testing it all, and then all the way up to having the script completely foolproof and finished, and actually being able to then use that in the game and having it work correctly is probably quite a good motivational boost.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I enjoy the most, is actually seeing the end product after all the programming and testing and bug fixing for that system, and then it finally all works. It's just a big sense of relief and pleasure, really. Like, yes! That feeling is what I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
And also working with you guys as well. Always make it fun. There's always jokes and banter in the office.
There's
Always fun. And they're just a few things.
You can already see the joy that comes in John's face and things. I don't know if you all of a sudden you wake up and there's a message sent at 2:00 in the morning saying this has been finished. It's been implemented.
We do get a lot of
It's
that.
great. It's a victory. Everything.
Yeah.
Whilst we praise good and like, okay, this is finally, and we know it's something that's
It's working. It's
yeah.
in. Like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you, Martin? What do you enjoy about your role?
A great many things. For me, a lot of it is
Was that an unintentional Star Wars quote? A great many.
a great many things.
Sorry, carry on.
A great many things. And for me, it's definitely a lot of it is the creative aspect of it. I know that if I get something with this piece of concept art, or I'm trying to come up with an idea in my head, I know where it looks like. And making a 3D model, although it's not like doing a picture where I can have to draw something and try to erase mistakes, and some part of it's go wrong, and you guys have to change the whole thing with the model. It don't work that way. So I know when I'm creating something, I can create the best of my ability exactly how I want it to look, and put a lot of time into it to make it look really nice how I want it to, texturing all the same. The only part I like is beginning is getting it's kind of boring, but but when you get it all working, you know it's in there properly. It makes it look so much great. You always feel proud about your work, and that's something that I think I enjoy the most, is the end product when you finished it and you go, I've just made that, and it actually works. It all looks great. I'm happy with that, and other people like it. So
and I think we can all sort of say we enjoy the creative side, actually having an idea and turning it into something that's actually
definitely
there,
manifesting into something.
Yeah. That's so for me. That's the biggest thing, is the creative side. That's what I love. I mean, the main thing for me actually is, because I'm writing the story and doing the script, is creating a universe. It's creating something that people can get involved in and really enjoy. Games, as much as anything, they're kind of a way to escape and a way to kind of be something else. And I know growing up, like sometimes when you need that, like, you can, instead of being whatever's happening in your life at the time, you could go home and for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, you were a Jedi, or you were a Sith, or you were saving a princess, or racing Mario, or whatever you were doing that made you more than what you were. That to me is a great thing about games and the gaming industry, and that's what I love getting involved with. That's what I love creating, is a universe that people can love and enjoy and feel a part of.
No, definitely.
So question 4, why should people look forward to playing for Battle for Enkeon?
For me, I think people should look forward to playing Battle for Enkeon. Simply the depth of the story that we're going into, and some of the features we're managing to actually get into there. I'm not sure, I can't speak for everyone obviously, but for me, I really, really love story-driven games that are really immersive, that you can actually get involved with, where you start building an emotional connection to the character, and that's one of the biggest things we're trying to achieve.
And where your actions actually kind of sway the story. And
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it puts the player more in control, and I think that's one thing that I think people should be looking forward to. That's the style of game that I like to play, and that's the achievement that we're going for with the story in Battle For Enkeon. The mechanics and the features that we put in assist in making the gameplay more fun, but it's the actual story that actually brings the game out, in my opinion.
It brings it alive, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's the same for me. Obviously, I'm biased being the writer of the story and the script, but for me, it is the story. That's why you should. You know, as much as the unique features, and you know, anyone who loves a turn-based shooter will love this game. But for me, the story is what I personally would say. Yeah, get it for the story. As much as anything else, get it for the story. Like, we've got some cool characters, we've got some really like emotional storylines and things that you can really get involved with.
Yeah, it's also going to be a story where there's more than just one thing going off as well.
Yeah, it's multi-layered is the story. Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
So I think that's something, when things start going hectic and stuff, it adds that pressure, and that pressure is what you tend to be addicted to a lot of the time.
Definitely.
Like for games, especially with me, it can be stressful, but the stress is actually quite enjoyable. Because you do have to think about your actions and what you're wanting to do.
Definitely. And you're going to have the balance. I'll give them a sneak peek into the story. You're going to have the balance between what is happening on a global scale and what you have to do for the planet as the leader of the biggest organised military group on the planet to defend it. What you've got to do for that and the actions you've got to take versus what's happening in your personal life with your family, and how those two can cross, and you might have to sacrifice certain things between them on either side.
I think one of the things I'm interested in, what they will do.
Yeah.
What will you do?
That'll be interesting.
You know?
Yeah. Like, because you're always gonna get that divide with people. Like, some people are like, no, like whatever it needs to be for my family, I'm doing that. And then other people are like, the planet's got to come first. And you get people in the grey area all in between.
There's so many different variations.
Definitely.
I'm definitely thinking that people should be looking forward to playing it for what I've been one of the main reasons. I've never encountered the turn-based shooter that actually has a full-on story that's actually in depth. Other ones just like you go and talk to someone a little bit and they give you a quest, is all it feels like. You know, as you go into a quest giver, I may as well get it off a board, it doesn't make a difference, that's all they're doing. You know, there's a board that talks to me. So having this fully in-depth story progressing, you're going to feel a sense, we're trying to get across a sense of progression, whether you're actually achieving something you're actually doing has weight. It's not just a pathetic countless action that you're doing.
You're advancing the story.
You're advancing the story, and these other characters actually have their own feelings, their own emotions towards what's actually going on. So you actually, when you do everything, you're not just going to be doing it senselessly. I'm just playing the game for playing the game. You're going to play it because you want to play the game. You want to see where the story is going. You want to create your own story and push forward with it.
Well, that comes back to what we were saying earlier about, you know, creating this universe, because that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to just create one story or create one character. We're trying to create an entire universe that people can get involved in, a universe that they'll want to come back to, that they'll enjoy being in. You know, that's why every character has his own backstory and thinks a certain way because of what they've been through. And
and you know, going in the future allows us to even expand that universe as well.
Definitely.
I think, you know, we can pack the game with as many features as we want to pack it with, but whether games are good or not really boils down to the story. I think a lot of the time the gameplay can be fluent with loads of functionality and with a steep learning curve, but if the story is no good, it doesn't feel that immersive and it doesn't come across the same as a good deep story for me. So that's one of the things I think I'm really looking forward to with Battle For Enkeon anyway.
We put in the functionality, we put in the features because that's what a game should be. You should be pushing the boundaries of what a game is and what you can do in that game all the time, whilst keeping up with graphics. So we've got the graphics, we've got the functions, but because we all love a good story, we've got the good story as well. So for us, we've got kind of the trifecta of what a game should be there.
A lot of time, if the story isn't actually any good, you kind of feel restricted to certain modes and game modes if they're not actually any good. It's a lot of time you can play through a campaign once, think, oh, it was okay, and then just finish and just play multiplayer.
So
you're bored of the features. And the only thing that then saves that game is the particular features that it has and the gameplay side of it. Where we're trying to go for the entire thing for the full story that you may want to play again and try different variations, things that you might want to try out and do. You've got the sides of then the gameplay side of it, where it's going to be a lot more in depth than other ones. That you can actually play differently and actually have more enjoyment out of it because you're more in control over certain situations and things. You can more play it how you want to play it.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Okay, well, that's all the questions. But if you got this far, thank you for watching.
And if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a message.
Definitely.
We've got all our contact info on our website, stormhillstudios.co.uk.
Or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Battle For Enkeon. We have a YouTube channel. And we'll be going for crowdfunding soon, so be sure to check us out there.
Huzzah! Yes.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Yeah.